to another episode of Shou Talks. Y'all, I usually plan my episodes way far in advance. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm a planner and I usually know exactly what I'm going to talk about. But last night, I had such a powerful dream that it forced me to want to talk about it today on today's episode. And I kind of was going to touch around this topic anyway, only because I came across a TV show I was watching. But last night's dream really gave me the push that I needed to start this topic. So I'm going to start with my dream and then we just going to talk about it. So in my dream, I have a toddler and we are hiding from my abuser. And I am currently staying at a family member's house, and my child, who's like 3 or 4, is at the stage where they talk too much and they tell all your business. So, my abuser has somehow entered, the house that I'm hiding in, and my toddler tells them that, oh yeah, we don't live in a house. We live someplace with a lot of houses, and we have a number on our door, and the number is, and then she goes into detail. So pretty much giving my abuser my location, like, this is where we live, this is where you can find me. And the level of panic that just came over my body as I grabbed my toddler and grabbed as much as I could, to take with me. And we were running out to my car, and I was like, yo, get in the back seat, put your seatbelt on. We gotta go. If you want a visual, think of the movie Enough with Jennifer Lopez when she's running with her kid and she's like, come on, baby, you gotta put your seatbelt on. And they're speeding off. And as I get into the passenger side, I can see my abuser coming out of the house and walking to their car. And it's kind of like, in the thrillers, the killer never runs. The killer always just walks slowly, and yet they always catch up to you. That's what it felt like. So I of course speed out of my spot, and I can see, like, kind of when I make it down the street, I can see my abuser pulling out of the driveway and making its way to follow me. And I took a bunch of turns, turned down the street, turned my car off, and just told my daughter to get down and to hide. And I waited until I saw the car drive by, and then I woke up. Now, when I woke up, the level of fear that literally consumed my body was undescribable. Y'all, I was terrified in real life. And to be honest, what woke me up was my watch. I have a Garmin, and I woke up to a notification on my watch telling me that my stress level was really high and that I needed to relax, take a couple deep breaths and relax. Shout out to Garmin, Vivo 4, dope watch. I love that it tells me that, it's like, yo, you're a little stressed right now. Try a breathing exercise. But I woke up with my chest so tight because I've never felt a fear this extreme. And I've been in abusive relationships. I've been, I've had a home invasion, and, I was scared. But this type of fear was just so powerful. And I had to sit back and think, there are people who really live this life. There are people who live with this fear every single day. There are women and men, because let's keep it 100. There are some men who are physically abused in their relationships and just don't speak about it because there's a stigma that the man is supposed to be the powerful one. The man is supposed to be the one with power. Let's keep it 100. There's some chicks out here beating up their dudes. But to think that there are people who genuinely fear their spouse, their boyfriend, their girlfriend, their friends, their parents, that takes a toll on you. That can affect you emotionally, mentally, spiritually, clearly physically. And it's just like, yo, that's crazy to me. And originally I was going to talk about Tahiry. I wanted to refer to it as the character Tahiry because I don't know her personally. I don't know her in real life. I only know what I see on TV. And to me, that is a character. It may be who she really is. I don't know. But for the sake of this conversation, I'm going to refer to her as a character. She's a TV personality. And she was on the most recent episode of Marriage Boot Camp with Vado. And this scene circulated the internet, so I'm pretty sure you guys may have seen it, but it's the scene where Vado chokes her. And, she was really calm about it. She didn't have a reaction. She kind of just froze. And throughout the season, she speaks about being in an abusive relationship and getting out of an abusive relationship and seeing abuse within relationships her whole life. I want to say a couple of weeks ago, Joe Budden, because he was an ex of hers, came out on a podcast and spoke about how she was the abuser in their relationship. And it made me think, like, it is such a vicious cycle that you don't even realize you're stuck in until someone else calls you out on it. What I don't like is, and this was here's my disclaimer. I genuinely believe that no one has the right to put their hands on you, period. Except your parents. They're going to whoop your tail every once in a while. And your aunties and uncles. But no one has the man or woman has the right to put their hands on you. We learn it in kindergarten, y'all. Keep your hands to yourself. I don't know what happened between kindergarten and adulthood where people just forget that. Like, I don't actually know what's at this point. It's more like early adolescence where people would just be forgetting that you're supposed to keep your hands to yourself. Like, it just became a thing to assault people. And I'm just like, but why? Like, what is it that you gain from putting your hands on someone else besides the possibility of going to jail? The possibility of being sued? The possibility of ruining your future because now you have a record? What is there to gain? So, back to Tahiry and Vado. I have one issue with the resolution that was presented on this show. So earlier that day, they started with an exercise, and Tahiry was upset, I believe, at the fact that she found out that Vado was still in communication with the mother of his child, and that he talks to her about Tahiry. Understandable. I wouldn't want my man talking to his baby mama or his ex about our relationship situations. That is not the business of anybody else but us. So I can understand the frustration. I can understand being upset. And then there was an exercise where they were zapping each other. That, of course, got a little out of control because pretty much the point of the exercise was every time the person did something that triggers you, you zap them. But you're not telling them what it is that they're doing that triggers you. They're supposed to figure it out on their own. Both Vado and Tahiry were having a hard time figuring out because I think they were just already upset from something else. But Tahiry got to the point where she threw 2 apples at Vado's face. Okay? I'm going to say that again. She threw 2 apples. Now, I'm sure a lot of y'all have held an apple, and it ain't exactly dense. Apples hurt. Apples probably hurt more than a basketball. And she threw 2 of them at his face. He did not react at that point. Now I want to say it again. I am not justifying Vado's actions because you should always keep your hands to yourself. Later on, when they had all the couples come in, they're speaking about, they were debriefing something, I think a previous exercise, and Tahiry starts to speak about how Vado pushes her buttons and forces her to act the way that she acts, and then she looks crazy, and then Vado snaps and grabs her by the neck, and then they escort Vado out. The resolution that they came up with was to have Vado stay at a hotel for the remainder of boot camp, and Tahiry got to stay. That is what I disapprove of. I understand that they are trying to show an example to all the other couples, especially the men, that it is not okay for a man to put their hands on a woman. However, I think they should have made an example of the both of them, because to me and to the person who might not do well with, indirect messages, you're showcasing that it is okay for a woman to assault a man and not have any repercussions for it, not be disciplined. And I'm not saying the discipline was Vado, but I feel like Tahiry should have also been asked to leave. You guys could have helped Tahiry the same way that you were helping Vado, because she threw 2 apples. Technically, she started the violence. She didn't touch him with her hands, but she threw 2 apples to his face. I'm sorry. I don't care what man, woman, child. If you hit me in the face with 2 apples, I'm going to react. There is no one that can say that they're just going to sit there and be assaulted with 2 apples in the face. Like that mess hurts. Once again, I am not validating Vado's reaction. I am simply disagreeing at the fact that on this episode, they did not show Tahiry taking any accountability for her part. And that to me is not fair. They were both wrong. Vado should have never put his hands on her. Absolutely. I agree. However, Tahiry should have never thrown those apples to hit him in the face and then act like it was okay. And then, of course, towards the last episode is when they decide if they want to be together or not. And Tahiry gives this amazing speech, which everybody loved. And to be completely honest, I think I was already so turned off at the whole Apple situation that I didn't really pay much attention to it. So I'm going to have to go back and listen to it. But the gist of her speech was more so I got to stand up for every little girl who has been in a domestic violence situation, every little girl who thinks it's okay. It's not okay. I agree. It is not okay. However, it's also not okay for you to have put your hands on this man. Because by you giving this speech and not apologizing for the part you played, it's more like, nah, nanny boo boo, I got away with it and you did. No, No, that I don't agree with at all. And I'm sorry if I offend some people. I'm sorry if it sounds like I agree with Votto and I agree with, and I'm hating on Tahiry. I'm not, y'all. I'm literally looking at it from morality, accountability, transparency. Now, it's very possible that maybe while the cameras weren't rolling, they pulled Tahiry aside and let her know what she did wrong, but they didn't show us that. And I think it's very important for them to have, if they did, they should have made them both. They had Votto write an apology letter to Tahiry. Tahiry should have wrote an apology letter to Votto too. It has to be equal. The discipline has to be equal. You cannot have two people do something and only one person is reprimanded. That's not okay. That is not okay. That sets a tone. And it's a pattern because that's what we see on reality TV. You see all these chicks popping off to their dude and smushing their face or swinging and all this other stuff. And then you got these impressionable young ladies seeing this and thinking it's okay till you mess around and smush the wrong dude, and now this dude done busted your lip, gave you a black eye. That's not how it happened on TV, because it's TV. It's TV. These people are paid. They are collecting a check for their actions. What are you collecting besides a hospital bill? Some people are collecting death. Domestic violence is real. On average, nearly 20 people per minute, y'all, are physically abused by an intimate partner. Per minute. If you do the math, that's literally every 3 seconds. Every 3 seconds, someone is being physically abused by someone they love, they care for, they're intimate with. And that's just in the US. I'm not even referring to out of the country, because we hear about it, on social media, and we hear about the physical abuse that takes place outside of the US. So in the US alone, we're looking at every 3 seconds. If you want to do the math, that equates to about more than 10 million people a year. Break it down even more. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men have experienced some form of physical violence by an intimate partner. 1 in 7 women and 1 in 25 men have been injured by an intimate partner. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men have been victims of severe physical violence. That's beating, burning, strangling by an intimate partner in their lifetime. I mean, you guys, the list goes on. The information is there. And I mean, I can go here and just go down the list and speak more about it. But it's me telling you about it is not going to help the situation. We have to learn to do better in general. We have to clearly revisit kindergarten, where we were taught to keep our hands to ourselves, because seems like people are forgetting that nowadays. There are people who unfortunately have seen nothing but domestic violence their entire lives, and because of that, they are numb to it. There's no reaction. One thing in that episode that Dr. Ish and Judge Cole, I think it's Polar, the judge, I love her, although I can't remember her name, but something that they noticed was that no one reacted When Votto grabbed Tahiry by the neck, no one got up. Nobody was shot. Everybody was just frozen. Everybody just watched. And that said something to them. That let Dr. Ish and the judge know domestic violence is too common. It's too common in our relationships. It's too common in our society, in our community, in our families. And it happens so often that people are numb to it. People have accepted it as a way of a life. People have accepted it as a phase in a relationship. No. It is not okay to abuse the person you love. If you are living in fear, then that is not love. That is not an environment where you need to be raising your children. I've spoken about cycles. I've spoken about toxic people. And the one common theme I always say is you got to understand that what you hold on to, your children will also hold on to. So if you are in an abusive relationship and you are there with your children are seeing this happen, it becomes their norm. I know it's hard. I have been there. And it's not me talking about it and me letting you know how severe these situations are. That's not gonna just miraculously give somebody the courage to get up and leave. It takes effort. It takes strength. And it never really happens when you first think about it. There's always a fear of, what if he finds me? What happens if my escape plan doesn't work? What about my kids? Who's going to believe me? I keep saying he. I'm sorry. I'm only saying he because I am a woman. But they've isolated me from all of my friends, from all of my family, from any type of helpline I could now be using. Who's going to help me? The National Domestic Violence Hotline. That number is 1-800-799-7233. That website is thehotline.org. I usually have something funny to say. I usually make jokes during my podcast, but when I tell y'all that this dream really got to me last night, that I had to talk about it, I woke up with fear in my body. Now, I'm not currently running away from anybody. I'm no longer in an abusive relationship, but that fear I felt this morning kind of just snapped me back to reality, because someone is waking up with that fear. Someone is waking up every morning with those thoughts, with these emotions, with these feelings, and they feel lost. They feel abandoned. They have no hope. I hate not having a resolve. I am a fixer. Everything I like to do is in a resolution to an issue. And I don't have that resolution, because there are some people out here in violent relationships and they feel lost. They didn't know this was going to happen. They didn't see it coming. They didn't see the red flags. And now they're stuck. Some people don't even make it out alive. And I think my dream last night was trying to tell me something. I don't know what it is yet. I'm going to figure it out. But there has to be something we as a community can do to help our brothers and sisters, yes, our brothers and sisters that are stuck in these situations. There's no way that we are supposed to just go on through life and not care. Oh, well, they knew what they was getting into. Some people don't. They should have seen the sign with some people don't. Some people really are blinded by love or what their concept of love is. It is very much possible. I just want to make my disclaimer again that I was not using this episode to come at Tahiry. And I do hope that she seeks the help that she needs. My issue was just the lack of accountability. And that just feeds into my concept. Not necessarily my concept. I didn't make it up. It's just how life is. Of the cycle of abuse. It keeps going until we heal ourselves. Until we find the problem and fix it. That's all I gotta say, y'all. Once again, if you know anybody dealing with domestic violence, whether they are the abuser or whether they're being abused, the number to the hotline is 1-800-799-7233. And that website is thehotline.org. You can get on it, find ways to get involved, read blogs, educate yourself about what's going on. Because this situation is not going, this issue is not going to fix itself. It's on us as a community to come together and help the problem resolve. We all got to get into this. We all got to figure out what this issue is and how can we as a community get rid of it. Thank you for rocking out with me today. I know this wasn't my regular high energy podcast episode, but y'all, this is serious. This is a very serious topic. And I appreciate you letting me rock out with you. And on that note, y'all, I'm out.